My name is Natasha, and I'm a mentor and animation mentor. I currently teach Class 6, which is Game, Animation, Cinematics. And today I'm here to talk to you about eyes and blinks and how we would use that in animation and acting for subtlety. So, before we talk about animating eyes, let's talk about how eyes work. So for human eyes, how eyes work is when we walk into a room, our eyes start darting around. We're collecting all this information, bringing it all in. We're seeing everything that's around us. But because we have brains and we think, now we're going to focus on what we want. So for, say, we walk into a restaurant. We're darting around. We're collecting all the information. We see everything in the restaurant, but we want to go sit so we can eat food. So we're now focused on the hostess in front of us. So we focus on the hostess, and our eyes aren't darting around anymore. They're focused on the hostess, and everything else kind of gets fuzzy. We're not focused on it anymore. We're not paying attention as much. We know it's there, but we're not paying attention anymore. We are focused on that hostess, and that is what we are looking at. So we walk over to the hostess, and then we want to sit down. So the person who's going to come seat you, walks up to come seat you, and so our eyes dart and to go look at them, and as we look somewhere, our head turns, and we tend to look where our heads are gonna turn. So we look that way, and a lot of the time, sometimes we blink as we turn, and we look at the person who's gonna take us to our table, and we follow them. So that's how human eyes work, and how they collect information darting around everywhere, rather than us having to turn our heads, unlike birds. How birds work is when they are, trying to collect all this information. Well, they don't really have, their eyes don't dart. They don't look around. So when birds are trying to collect information everywhere, instead, they're turning their heads. They're turning their whole heads, looking around, trying to figure out everything that's going on, collecting the whole, everything that's going on and collecting the whole picture. Then they focus and their heads stop turning and they focus on what they want. And that's kind of how, birds work and why we see birds' heads turn so much. Entirely. We're kind of lucky that we don't have to turn our entire heads every single time, and we can just, have our eyes dart everywhere to figure out what's going on. Owls, on the other hand, are also a bird, but they're also a little different by the fact that they don't have eyeballs. And because they don't have eyeballs, their eyes also cannot dart. So they have to turn their entire heads. And if you look, it's kind of nice because owls have pupils. So we can see the pupil getting bigger and smaller and dilating, and we can see that in the owl as he turns his head, or she. But the owl turns his head and they blink, but they really have to turn their heads, and because they're predators, they want to see everything that's going on around them. So they're going to turn their head 360. And they can turn all the way around, as the owl kind of did. He turned his head almost all the way back. So that's kind of how owls work and why they turn their head 360 to collect a whole picture. But sadly, they also cannot just dart their eyes the way humans do. So they have to actually, as this owl's doing here, he's literally moving his whole head to find out everything that's going on, and his whole body to get the whole picture. So he can, hunt for mice or whatever he wants to do. So when we talk about eyes and animating for eyes, they really are, as the saying goes, a window to our souls. They really tell a whole picture. When you watch eyes, you can really see what a person is thinking, feeling. It shows so much, and it's just, if you just look at their eyes, you can cut off their whole face and their body, and sometimes you can really just see a whole picture of how someone is feeling. And we can really bring that into our animation to bring it life, and to have some great subtlety in animation shots. So I have a couple examples from the animation showcases over the years, and here's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and then I'll talk about it.
Are you a narc?
Do I look like a narc?
Yeah.
I am a narc.
So this shot's pretty great because for the most part, it's only really showing what he's feeling and thinking, and this whole acting of the shot is pretty subtle. It's all mostly in his eyes. I mean, we get a little bit of body, we get a little bit of, mouth shapes and stuff like that, but it's mostly all in his eyes. Just from looking at his eyes, we can see that, he's concentrating, he's thinking, and he's looking at this cup of coffee. And he's thinking about whatever is going on, his day or whatever. And then someone talks to him, and we can see him react here. He looks up as his head goes up, and his eyes are leading the head turn on what he's looking up with. And now he looks confused. He's like, What are you talking about? And you can really see it in his eyes. He's blinking, he's thinking, he's doesn't understand. You can see it now in the eyes, the eyebrows. He doesn't understand what's going on. He's trying to figure it out. He's looking around again. And then he, loosens up. He's like, oh, okay. And then he smiles, he's happy. He figured out it's a joke, he is a narc, or he looks like a narc, and it's kind of a joke, and he looks content, and you can see that in his eyes. He looks pretty content here, looking at the person talking to him. Not much is going else in the shot besides him turning his coffee, and we just get a lot of nice subtle acting here, just in his face. So here's another shot, and this one doesn't have sound on it, because the file didn't have sound, but that's okay, because you know what, one thing that's great about animation is if you can get a shot so where we can really see what's going on in this shot, we might not get the whole picture because we can't hear the sound, but we can really feel what these characters are feeling just from looking at the animation. We don't even need the sound, we just can feel what they're feeling. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it and I'll talk about it. So she looks happy here, she's doing her makeup, she's happy. The guy looks sad. Then she has a clear change, she's like, what? She's reacting to him. He looks really sad the whole time. He's telling her what he's feeling. He looks extremely sad. He touches her even. She looks sad. She looks shocked there, because he fell on her, and then they look sad together and get this nice compression in the eyes. They're compressing their eyes together. They're feeling sad together. And you can really see all this no matter what he's saying to her. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what he's saying to her. We know that they are both feeling sad, that, he made her sad. He's feeling something, and we get from this picture that he's looking at it. He's feeling sad about their relationship, and he doesn't want her to, go. And he's holding her, telling her to stay here. And you can really feel that even without listening to the dialogue. So here's a good example of a shot that shows a lot of acting in the eye still, but at the same time we actually get the whole body. And we get her face, we get the mouth, we get everything, but she shows a lot of acting just in her eyes as well in the shot.
Who's your spinning instructor, Gregory or Winona?
I go to Giannis. Who are Gregory and Winona? I've never heard of them before. Are they better?
Winona rocks my world.
Seriously, you need to get me in there. Like, that's a must, must, must.
So this shot's great because, here she looks content. You're looking at her eyes, she looks really, really content. She's putting on her sunscreen, and then she's reacting to her friend talking. She looks at only with one eye at first, and then she wants to get the full picture. So now she's opening both eyes. Then she darts away, she's in confusion. Now she's thinking. You can really see that she is thinking, and she's a little confused about what her friend is talking about. She looks very confused here. She's, compressing her eyes together in confusion. What are you talking about? And then at the end, she even looks at her. I don't know what you're talking about. Her eyes get wide. She wants the full picture here. Her eyes are even darting around trying to get the full picture while she thinks about what the full picture is. And then she's got this nice emotional change here. She goes from I don't know what you're talking about look to, oh, I'm so happy. This is a must, must, must. And her eyes look happy here. You've got some nice under eyelidness going on to shape the eyes. She looks extremely happy. And then she gets in everything she needs to say, and she does this movement. She closes her eyes as she does this big movement, because we tend to close our eyes as we're about to do a big movement like this, like going back on a chair. Grabs her glass, and then we have this nice part where she even messes up trying to get the straw, and is looking at the glass with a little bit of confusion, and that just starts drinking her drink. So for this, I put together a little quick animation of eyes, and I animated the eyes and the brows. When I animate eyes, first we want to look at the eye shape. We want to try and get an appealing eye. I know that drawing wasn't very appealing, but we want to try and get the eye shape and an appealing eye here, and try and make them both look appealing together, and shape the eye of the rig. Then as we animate eyes moving, we also want to remember that they are fleshy. So when our eyeballs move, of course it's gonna, because we're connected, we have connective tissue, we're gonna also move our skin. So as our eyes dart around and move, our skin underneath and on top will be moving along with the eyes. And then to bring our face all together is, a fleshy connective tissue. Like all together, we're also going to be moving the brows. And as it shows here, as her eyes move, we see the brows move a bit. We see them all working together when we blink. So this is a full blink. We got full blinks and we've got half blinks. As human beings, we're kind of lazy. When we blink, we a lot of the time don't even blink all the way. Like right there, that was a half blink, as you could see. And right here was a half blink right there again. Right there was a half blink, but almost full, but not quite. Oh, no, actually, that was a full blink right there. So as human beings, we're lazy. We sometimes full blink, but sometimes we also half blink. And we can really use that to bring in a lot of character to our animations, whether it's a half blink or a whole blink. So for a whole blink, I would say it's about 3 to 5 frames, going down, hold for 2, and then go back up. Now, this can change depending on their emotion they're feeling or the acting choices. For instance, if they were sleepy or they're drunk, they might be blinking slowly to get that, nice look. If I'm really sleepy. If they're excited, they might be blinking really fast. And then you got like a little flutter going on with your half blinks. So you can use blinks to just show a lot of what a character's thinking, once again, emotion. And when we're animating a blink, we have to remember that when we blink the top lid, the bottom lid also comes up. So it's like 80-90% the top lid, and then the bottom lid goes up. So as we blink, you see the top lid come down, the bottom lid catches it, we compress, and then we go back up. And you can see that the bottom lid is also moving. Then we have the eyebrows, and it's nice to offset them too. So the eyebrows start going down, the lids go down, they hold, then the eyebrows go up, the lids go up. And as they go up, the eyebrows still keep going up a bit. As you can see right here, which is nice offset. And then we got a half blink right here. Even with the half blink, it's nice to bring the bottom lids as well. Another thing we can do in animation is pupil dilation. As you can see, when her pupils dilate as she's angry and when she's scared. So one thing that we can do in animation that you can't really do in real life is we can change the iris. So as you can see, her iris is really small here. But over here, her iris and her pupils are pretty big. We can do a lot with this to show emotion in animation, even though in real life is not realistic. So when you're changing pupils and irises, usually you want to have a blink as they do it, or an eye dart. Right here, I didn't quite do it. I would have had, if I were to polish this eye shot, I would have her dart her eyes as they're getting smaller, so it's not as jarring. But it's nice to show, distinction what they're thinking. As she's angry, she's glaring, her pupils are getting small, the iris is small, and she's like, what are you doing? As she's looking at the person in angry thoughts. Then fear is a little different too. So fear, if someone's really afraid, when you're looking at something, you would look at what you're afraid of and you would just hold it. And you would continue to look at that thing that you're afraid of and keep looking at that until you know it won't hurt you anymore. And your eyes aren't going to dart too much. You're going to try to blink as little as possible. If it held for a long time, maybe you might blink if it was a long time, because we can only hold our eyes open for so long with the staring contest. But when you're truly afraid, you would hold them open for quite a long time. So there would be acting choices in there and how you would do this, but you would hold yourself still and hold yourself looking at that object as long as you can until you know it's not going to hurt you. So eyes tend to freeze more than usual with animation when we're afraid and we're looking at something we're afraid of. So that can be a challenging look to get it so we don't look like we're stone and we're still fleshy, but at the same time you're staring at something you're afraid of and you want to move as little as possible. One nice thing in this is clip right here of this person, live action person, is we can see her pupil dilate really well. You see her pupil's big here. It's nice and big. Then she does a nice half blink right here. And she looks up at the sun. We see her pupil dilating, it's smaller. Then here too, you can see the dilation here. And the iris, and the pupil, which is really, really nice. So using all these things, you can use all these ideas to get a lot of emotion and a nice acting for subtlety in your animation pieces, you know, between blinks, half blinks, eye darts, and pupil dilation. You can just get a whole lot of emotion and make a really beautiful animation piece with this. If you wanted to learn more about this as an animation mentor, you could take classes on the feature side. We go into, in the feature side, they definitely go more into facial acting and eyes than they do the game courses. But for feature classes, taking classes 4, 5, and 6, which would be the beginning acting courses, advanced acting, and polishing your portfolio. For games, we get a little into eyes when it comes to game cinematics, because you will animate a face in game cinematics. But if you wanted to go even deeper into it, the feature classes, it's where you'd want to go to learn about this, and so you can make your own animation with nice eye acting and show great emotion in it. But thanks for watching.